student of price action. Hey, this is Max, student of priceactiontrading.com, and today is Friday, April 1st, and this will be our chart lesson for the day. As you can see here, was pretty straightforward for the most part. We had a leg down, but we had this yellow channel, and then that turned into the green channel, and then we got to close outside and push to a new low and a measured move, and then we kind of corrected a little bit. Well, we went sideways for a little bit, and then we corrected in the blue channel all the way to the right to take back some of the two legs down. There's two ways to look at the legs down. Here's the first way. You could measure the yellow channel and then this point where we corrected here, and we surpassed that. But another way to look at it would be to measure the whole move down of the green channel and then the whole correction, which would be here, and we missed that by 10 points or so, and maybe that's why we corrected to the upside. I don't know, but those are both some solid targets to look at. It's kind of hard to say which one's right. I kind of lean towards the first one, which would be this leg here, and then you could either measure it from, whoops, I'm like Mac now, I have no idea where I grabbed that from. You can measure it from there or there. That one actually gets you pretty close. Anyways, let's hop into the action here. Early on, we were within the overnight highs and lows as I have in this pink range channel, but we really blew past that once we had the yellow channel confirmed and didn't really come into play too much, so I'm just going to erase that. Same thing with this channel here. Doesn't really help you, so just clean that up as well. So if you notice here, we get a little breakout, pull back, and then a second leg down here. And so you can see from the high point, there's two legs down, and we confirm this yellow channel right here. And that's around the 6:30 open, but it's only a first entry. We do get a second entry down here, but that's not really a good place to take a setup. Obviously, it's away from the EMA. But I do have this first trade marked green because this is congestion here, and it's a failed breakout of congestion in a downtrend at the key entry point with a nice strong bearish bar. It's aggressive though because it's not a second entry. So that's the first trade of the day. I also have this one marked orange because I closed my chart, but sorry, I was looking over at my recorder, it paused. I have this one marked orange because I took this trade and it broke higher when I had my chart open this morning, but I closed my chart down and then decided to do a chart lesson and reloaded this. So if this broke higher on your chart and reversed and closed on its low or entered as an engulfing bar, that's a red trade. But if it didn't and it looked like this for you, then unfortunately you can't take it. But I had it as a second entry short engulfing bar at the key entry point. Then we're coming down, we get this new low, pulling back first entry, and then pull back. Here's a second entry right off the EMA. The bias is still down. It's a little bit aggressive, but I like that one as well. And then we get a little correction here. We overshoot it, and we make a first entry, and then we make a higher low from this point, which traps people into going long, and then we tick up just a few ticks, reverse, and close on our low again. That's a great engulfing bar, solid trade. We're looking for a new low of the yellow channel. So it's a pretty simple one. A couple of toss-ups right out of the morning. It's nice to always see that. as we're making a push to a new yellow of this yellow channel, we form this micro purple channel here, and so now we're looking for a new low of that channel, and we get it right here. But by that point, you can see the congestion here, so we're kind of going sideways. Unfortunately, you don't really get a lower high off of these highs, off of this resistance here, so I don't have anything marked. But if you notice, we have this correction channel here, and we get a close outside, and we can't get to a new high because I think there's this green channel is in play now, because we already played out the yellow channel, and we can't get a retest of this uptrend because a new channel is forming. But unfortunately, there's just no way to get into that. I don't see anything in here. Yeah, you got a failed second entry long there, but right into a double bottom far away from the EMA, and then we're going sideways. You get a triple test here, but it's right into the lows. You don't really get too much. You do bounce off of this green trend line here, but it's an inside bar. Just not a good place to go short. And then we start going sideways here because we're battling between the newly formed green channel and a retest of this channel here. Let's just color it. I guess blue is fine. And so we start going sideways. You can see the congestion start here and then form here as well. So that's kind of your range parameters there. We break out, we make a higher low, and then we make a triple test here that reverses and closes on its high, but now you're gonna go long right into the highs when the bias is mostly down. Not a great idea. We break out the high side and then we make a lower high and close back in the range. That's a fantastic trade. I'd be a little careful taking this on the engulfing. You could, it's just you gotta really know what you're doing. But if you let it close and you put a limit order back a little bit, you would have got easily filled on that. We break through the lows. I don't know why I have this marked green. Why do I have that marked green? It's a second entry. It's a failed breakout. It's right into the EMA. The bias is down. I'm going to remove that. I'm not a fan of that. And so you're kind of just going sideways, and then finally you kind of start getting some movement back down. The EMA is pointing down, and if you notice here, you got two touches right there, real subtle. And then you get this channel down here. You get a first entry long, and then a failed entry, second entry long that reverses and closes on its low. But because we had this range and it's really tough to confirm this, I mean, you could mark this green. It's aggressive, but it's far away from the EMA, and it's just really, really aggressive. It's a huge bar too, so I wouldn't take that. Let's see. Yeah, that's almost like 4 points. Yeah, I'll mark it green. Failed second entry long. It's just really tough to trust this trend line at this point. You do have 3 touches though, so you can argue for it. We get 2 legs back to the EMA and confirm this orange trend line here. There's your first touch, second touch, third touch. You get a nice bearish bar. Go short right there. And then notice you got a little resistance there, more there. That's your first touch. So it's really like, you could argue that's a triple test as well, double test. I like that trade. Then you got some more congestion here that leads to resistance. You get a new low, first entry short, tick up higher, reverse and close on its low, second entry short at the key entry point with room down to these lows. That's a nice trade. Then you're correcting here, and you get a close outside and a new high and another second entry short, but it's not a key entry point. It's above the EMA, and so you're really just banking on a retest of the orange channel pushed to a new low. And so if you're feeling aggressive and you understand what's going on, that's when you might risk. Um, it is green, but I probably wouldn't take this one as well because I'm really a stickler for strong signal bars. And while this does close on the bottom 1/3, I really only like to take trades that close like on their low or one or two ticks below. So it's green, it's aggressive, it's a very contextual trade, if that's a word. You have to really understand what's going on with the context, and that's that we're looking for a retest of this orange channel, and we're more than likely going to get it. And then we get this correction trend, and we just kind of start going sideways. You can tell, start getting choppiness there. And so because we already played out of the orange channel and we played out this green channel here, maybe it's time to start correcting. So notice you have some support there, and then you get a breakout and a higher low that closes right on the support. That's a decent setup there. I wouldn't have it blue because we're not sure if we're going to continue on down, but it's a second entry. Notice this new high, first entry, and then second entry there. So it's a second entry, a strong support with room to the highs, and it's an easy scalp. Now we're really correcting, and notice we break out of this red channel even further, and then we get a first entry short. We push through the EMA, and we get a second entry short that ticks one tick lower, reverses, and closes on its high. We're more than likely going to continue on and get back into this trading range here, and so I like that for a reversal pattern. We shoot on up, and that's a fantastic trade, and then we get two legs back here, but unfortunately, you don't even get a first entry. You can tell it's two legs back, but you don't get a good signal bar either, and it just explodes again. And then this channel is pretty obvious. If you notice, here's your low point. It's lower than this point here. And you're shooting up, and you get a first entry short, and then you pull up, and you get a second entry short that fails right at this key entry point. So I have this marked green. As an aggressive trade, it's a failure right at the key entry point. You'll more than likely get a scalp out of that. And then if you measure this first leg here and the correction, we still got some room to the measured move there. So another reason to like this trade. And notice while this, you could argue that this is resistance here. You have a high here, and then you push to a new high here. So although you do have to be a little concerned about it, and then you push up to a new high here, we are making new highs, so that would really have you lean towards taking a trade than not taking a trade because they are making higher points. If they were like double tops and not making those higher points, you might be a little more concerned. But because every spot is a higher point, I feel like the context of the uptrend outweighs the resistance and people trying to pick tops. Notice this this low point here is lower than that one, and then you get a first entry short, and then we get a second entry short that fails right at the key entry point again. I like that trade. And then we get up here, and we get two legs back to the EMA and a close outside. We're still looking for a new high, so I like this trade as well. It doesn't quite touch the EMA, and so that's why I have it green instead of blue, but it's two legs back, the context and the bias is up. We're more than likely going to get a retest, and so that's a good trade. And then I have this one here, because now notice we made that high, then we made a lower high and a double top, and then we made a lower high. So that's much different than over here. That's resistance, and so if we get a new high, and a strong reversal bar like we do here, maybe you go short there. So you get the close outside, 2 legs up to a new high, just pushes up to a new high and then reverses and closes on its low. And you got these highs here, the resistance point. You touch it once, then you touch it again, and you have a strong bearish bar away from the EMA. That's blue, or sorry, that's green. It's aggressive, but if you know what you're doing, that's a solid trade. And then we get this red channel here and a close outside, and then that turns into the yellow channel. You get 2 legs down, and then we're kind of crawling towards that trend line again, and it gets congestive. You can see all that resistance I have here with this blue line. Notice this double bottom here, get a first entry, and then a failed breakout of all this resistance, touches the EMA, reverses and closes on its low. I like going short right there. So key entry point trade, fantastic. Key entry point trade, 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 key entry point trade. That's what you like to see, right? That's how I saw it today. Really, we had 2 fairly measured legs down, then we kind of went sideways, and then we corrected to the upside. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, so that's how I saw it. I won't beat around the bush today. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. This is Max, and I'll catch you next time.